Hey, what's going on? This is Matt with So Cincy. Welcome back to the Bible Department podcast. This is episode 58 as we're going to read through the New Testament. We're going to be in Luke chapter 9 tonight, reading through that. And these Luke chapters are, like I said, in 2 days ago. No, yesterday's episode, because it's still Tuesday. I'm doing a late show instead of an early morning one. And these chapters are a bit longer, so I'll just leave it at that. But we're gonna be hanging out there. If you want to follow along with us, I'm not exactly sure where we're at in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the plan, but you can go to 5daybiblereading.com. Wrong one. There we go. You can go to this website. You can pick up their plan where they read through the entire Bible in a year. And so if you've made it this far, actually, congratulations. Usually March is where any type of habit, New Year's resolution just dies. And so what's nice is that it's April 1st. I swear, no April Fool's jokes here. Not that we're not gonna do anything like that tonight. But if you've made it through reading through the Bible so far this year, you've been following along. You may have fallen behind a few days, which is okay. That's fine. You're here, and that's okay. But you can go to 5daybiblereading.com. You can pick up their plan. They do the Old Testament and the New Testament read through. We're just doing the New Testament, and that's where we're at. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. And I saw something really cool in Luke 9 that was a long-standing question that I had. So we will get into that as we talk about Luke 9. So let's pull Luke 9 up. Actually, no. All right. Like I said, this is Luke 9. So one day, Jesus called together his 12 disciples and gave them power and authority to cast out all demons and to heal all diseases. Wrong one. Let me do this real quick. There we go. And to heal all diseases. Then he sent them out to tell everyone about the kingdom of God and to heal the sick. Take nothing for your journey. He instructed. Dang it. What did I do here? What did I do? Okay. All right. We're good. I was doing some like AI stuff. I don't want to do AI stuff. We just trying to read. Verse 3, take nothing for your journey, he instructed them. Don't take a walking stick, a traveler's bag, food, money, or even a change of clothes. Wherever you go, stay in the same house until you leave town. And if a town refuses to welcome you, shake its dust from your feet as you leave to show that you have abandoned those people to their fate. So they began their circuit of the villages, preaching the good news and healing the sick. When Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee, heard about everything Jesus was doing, he was puzzled. Some were saying that John the Baptist had been raised from the dead. Others thought Jesus was Elijah or one of the other prophets risen from the dead. I beheaded John, Herod said. So who is this man about whom I hear such stories? And he kept trying to see him. When the apostles returned, they told Jesus everything they had done. Then he slipped quietly away with them toward the town of Bethsaida. But the crowds found out where he was going, and they followed him. He welcomed them and taught them about the kingdom of God and healed those who were sick. Late in the afternoon, the 12 disciples came to him and said, send the crowds away to the nearby villages and farms so they can find food and lodging for the night. There is nothing to eat here in this remote place. But Jesus said, you feed them. But we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. Or are you expecting us to go and buy enough food for this whole crowd? For there were about 5,000 men there. Jesus replied, tell them to sit down in groups of about 50 each. So the people all sat down. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked up toward heaven, and blessed them. Then, breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread and fish to the disciples distribute it to the people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterward the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. One day, Jesus left the crowds to pray alone. Only his disciples were with him, and he asked them, "Who do people say I am?" "Well," they replied, "some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, and others say you are one of the other ancient prophets risen from the dead." Then he asked them, "But who do you say I am?" Peter replied, "You are the Messiah sent from God." Jesus warned his disciples not to tell anyone who he was. "The Son of Man must suffer many terrible things," he said. "He will be rejected by the elders, the leading priests, and the teachers of religious law. He will be killed, but on the third day he will be raised from the dead." Then he said to the crowd, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross daily, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world, but are yourself lost or destroyed? If anyone is ashamed of me and my message, the Son of Man will be ashamed of that person when he returns in his glory and in the glory of the Father and the holy angels. I tell you the truth, some standing here right now will not die before they see the kingdom of God." About 8 days later, Jesus took Peter, John, and James up on a mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was transformed and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly, two men, Moses and Elijah, appeared and began talking with Jesus. They were glorious to see, and they were speaking about his exodus from this world, which was about to be fulfilled in Jerusalem. Peter and the others had fallen asleep, and when they woke up, they saw Jesus' glory and the two men standing with him. As Moses and Elijah were starting to leave, Peter, not even knowing what he was saying, blurted out, "Master, it's wonderful for us to be here. Let's make 3 shelters as memorials. One for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." But even as he was saying this, a cloud overshadowed them, and terror gripped them as the cloud covered them. Then a voice from the cloud said, "This is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him." When the voice finished, Jesus was there alone. They didn't tell anyone at that time what they had seen. The next day, after they had come down the mountain, a large crowd met Jesus. A man in the crowd called out to him, "Teacher, I beg you to look at my son, my only child. An evil spirit keeps seizing him, making him scream. It throws him into convulsions so that he foams at the mouth. It batters him and hardly ever leaves him alone. I begged your disciples to cast out the spirit, but they couldn't do it." Jesus said, "You faithless and corrupt people, how long must I be with you and put up with you?" Then he said to the man, "Bring your son here." As the boy came forward, the demon knocked him to the ground and threw him into a violent convulsion. But Jesus rebuked the evil spirit and healed the boy. Then he gave him back to his father. Awe gripped the people as they saw this majestic display of God's power. While everyone was marveling at everything he was doing, Jesus said to his disciples, "Listen to me and remember what I say. The Son of Man is going to be betrayed into the hands of his enemies." But they didn't know what he meant. Its significance was hidden from them, so they couldn't understand it, and they were afraid to ask him about it. Then his disciples began arguing about which of them was the greatest. But Jesus knew their thoughts, so he brought a little child to his side. And then he said to them, "Anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me also welcomes my Father who sent me. Whoever is the least among you is the greatest." John said to Jesus, "Master, we saw someone using your name to cast out demons, but we told him to stop because he isn't in our group." But Jesus said, "Don't stop him. Anyone who is not against you is for you." As the time drew near for him to ascend to heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. He sent messengers ahead to a Samaritan village to prepare for his arrival. But the people of the village did not welcome Jesus because he was on his way to Jerusalem. When James and John saw this, they said to Jesus, "Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to burn them up?" But Jesus turned and rebuked them, so they went on to another village. As they were walking along, someone said to Jesus, "I will follow you wherever you go." But Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens to live in and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place even to lay his head." He said to another person, "Come follow me." The man agreed, but he said, "Lord, first let me return home and bury my father." But Jesus told him, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach about the kingdom of God. Another said, yes, Lord, I will follow you. But first, let me say goodbye to my family. But Jesus told him, anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. And that is Luke chapter 9. Oh, this couch is the worst. You just lose yourself in it when you sit on the left side. All right, so let's talk about Luke 9. I just want to talk about one thing, and this was always a question. I don't know why I never looked into figuring out what the answer to this question is, but this has been a question that pops up every once in a while. I've always wondered why Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man. So we're going to be looking at, chapter 9, verse 18 through 22. That's what we're going to be looking at. So let's pull this back up. And so in what they're doing, Jesus is asking them, who do people say I am? Looking to hear like what the crowds are saying about Jesus and who he is. And so this was also kind of foreshadowed at the beginning of the chapter where they're talking about Herod Antipas. I think that's his name. And Herod's like, yo, like, is this John? Like, I got to figure this out. But it's left, at least for now, unresolved. I don't honestly know if Herod 1 pops up again later on in Luke. But for now, it's unresolved. It just says like he couldn't get to him. Yeah, it just says verse 9, he kept trying to see him. So we'll leave it at that. So they ask, and they're like, oh, they're saying you're these different people, this prophet. And he asked them, well, but who do you say I am? And Peter says, you're the Messiah. If you look at the other Gospels, I think if you look at Matthew, maybe Mark, it could be in John as well, but I know for sure Matthew. I'm not sure if it's in Mark. But if you look at the other accounts of this interaction, I think there's a little bit more to it. But what they're talking about, if you can hear that, that's my kid screaming upstairs. Keep it down. All right. Anyways, so he says the Son of Man must suffer many terrible things. And I've always wondered why he refers to himself as the Son of Man. And to know more, we need to pull up Daniel chapter 7. I think it's Daniel chapter 7. It's either Daniel chapter 7 or Daniel chapter 9. Yeah. Okay. So Daniel chapter 7. And I saw this and I was like, oh, okay, this is so neat. All right. So in my study, when I was looking at for different people or different things, like to figure out what to talk about, Daniel 7 verse 13 says, as my vision continued that night, I saw someone like a son of man coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient One and was led into his presence. He was given authority, honor, and sovereignty over all the nations of the world, so that people of every race and nation and language would obey him. His rule is eternal. It will never end. His kingdom will never be destroyed. And so whenever you read something and Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man, and the Son of Man must do these things, and the Son of Man does this, and the Son of Man does that, now you can look back. Okay, it's just, again, Old Testament prophecy about Jesus, which is just really cool. It's very simple, very cool. Just what I found in my study as I was preparing for this. So this was just an Old Testament prediction for the Son of Man's glorious reign. as the notes I found. And so this Messiah that Peter labels him as, like that was good. Like that was a good enough title. Like he didn't have to go into really anything else. That just like, oh yeah, you're the Messiah. Like you're the dude. You're that guy. And then let's wrap up with the last part of that. And he says, the Son of Man must suffer many terrible things. He'll be rejected, the leading priests, the teachers, the elders. He'll be killed. On the third day, he'll be raised from the dead. And so he's saying, Jesus is telling them, like, hey, don't tell people about what needs to happen. I need it to play out. I need the story. We could speed this up, but that's not the plan. So let it play out. Let it do those things. And that's the story of Jesus there in Luke chapter 9. So there you go. So I'm Matt with So Cincy. Thanks for hanging out with us on this late night Tuesday, April 1st live stream. Glad to have you here. If you're watching on YouTube, would love it if you would subscribe. Help us get to 100 subscribers. We're at 92. So that's pretty exciting. 8 more and we'll get there. And then, of course, as always, if you're listening to this on Facebook, on the replay, or you're listening on Spotify or Apple or wherever this might get played, just want to thank you again for listening and hanging out. And again, also on YouTube, thanks for watching this and hanging out here. And so we will see you for tomorrow for Luke chapter 10. And until then, we'll see you. Bye.